Hello everyone, I'm Ayushi, the CEO and co-founder of DronaMaps. DronaMaps specializes in large-scale 3D mapping with drones. So these lead to essentially the process looks like commodity drones, pretty similar to what you've seen in weddings. They fly in a certain pattern, images are taken with a certain overlap, and these images are then sewn together to form a sheet. Once you have that sheet, then we use deep learning to extract analytics from it, which ranges to parameters like plot boundaries, roads, where are the trees, geolocations, etc. And all of this is usually used for applications like sustainable development or for cities and villages. Being in tech business, how tough is it to compete with companies with similar products from China, Japan, so on and so forth? And what is something you are lacking in Indian products? There are multiple aspects to this question. One is that a Chinese product doesn't necessarily translate to the business conditions of India. So a lot of companies you see who are specializing in the Indian market, like for instance, take an Oyo or an Ola or a Zomato, are successful because they understand the business dynamics or the operational dynamics of this market. The second aspect of it becomes technology itself, and that is the part where you actually see a threat from a China or a Japan, for that matter, even like giants like Google. Um, the only way to actually deal with that is to be faster, better, and more lethal with expertise that is pertaining to your own client. Like at the end of all of this is a business, and for that to be a successful business, you need to understand the needs of your customer. And once those have been identified, if they are universal, you can scale abroad. If they are not, then you're limited geographically. But either which way, the only way to manage that competition is actually to build that core expertise and have that stable base of clients. The second question goes like, what are a few places you think the use case are for our technology? So I work with drones and maps made out of drones, which are high resolution. If you were to check out the research literature, that basically entails that drones fundamentally can be used for 5, 6 use cases. One is surveillance, which is an entirely video-based technology. Essentially, a drone flies, takes a video footage, and then this video footage is analyzed using any of these like object detection techniques. And a similar extension to that, along with mapping, is mining, which includes both video and 3D maps with volumetric analysis. So fundamentally, like we are using our own technology and 3D maps towards precision agriculture, urban development and planning, urban and rural development and planning, and mining a little bit. So these are the three use cases that we see are huge for our technology. How do we think COVID-19 is going to affect your market? So I think I briefly answered that question earlier. What we do is we usually have somebody collecting the data for us. So there is a drone service provider or a partner company who essentially goes on the ground, collects the data for us, and once these images are procured, we're basically like we're reconstructing these images and doing the analytics on top of it. Now what's happening, like I guess this would kind of change with the lockdowns easing up, but you see, it became harder to actually go on the ground and procure data. The use cases of drones that we have seen on the ground are usually like in social distancing and spraying, which are the two use cases. Social distancing is based on video, while spraying is based on a payload capacity of the drone, which is actually like from a hardware perspective, since we don't maintain any like hardware of our own, is actually harder to procure. Which basically, from our perspective, meant that we have to use our analytics expertise and expertise in geospatial intelligence to something that can help decision makers actually be more efficient, have like a synchronized single node of information that runs from the chief minister's office to the people on the ground, which is what we ended up creating as a command and control center solution with about 5 parts. which include like your healthcare infrastructure, your epidemiological analysis, patient tracking, hotspot analysis, so on and so forth. Do you have any plans on how we can plan for a post COVID-19 era? I think the best a company can do at this point of time is to ensure survival. Like business continuity is what is the key challenge, and for startups, that essentially entails survival. And if we are talking about survival, there are two aspects to it. One is the pure external aspect of if your business has incoming clients, and are you adapting to these to the evolving needs of the market. And the only way you can ensure that, and the situation is frankly evolving, nobody really knows how it's going to change. But we do know that remote work is going to increase, but we do know that this COVID-19 like threat is probably not going to go away for another 2 years. So as far as we are concerned, like we essentially like have adapted and created this automated product, which would go as a separate product line and can be integrated by any of our clients. In the short run, we have made strong relationships with multiple state governments, have been adapted fairly easily. In the medium term, it would help us to still keep expanding and engaging with these states in several ways. I think what remains to be seen is the long-term roadmap and how to reconcile the product development with the needs of the future, and that remains to be seen. How hard would you consider the whole scenario right now is for new entrepreneurs, and what are a few thoughts you would like to share with young entrepreneurs who are starting out post COVID-19? I think right now the scenario is not particularly. It's hard to raise funds for a Series A startup, but if you're really just starting out, and if you're probably still in college, then in that scenario, it's a great time because the world is changing. You can acclimatize. Students can adapt to it, take bigger risks. They are at that point in life where they can test things out and actually have the patience to be able to go through with it without having substantial life responsibilities to take care of. And also like an uncanny understanding of the new technology and also the problems that we are seeing at this point. So I think it's a great time. It's almost like a renaissance period where you would see a lot of innovation coming forward. And we have noticed that difference post-corona anyway. What about our approach to marketing and brand recognition? A brand essentially is a bunch of values that your company stands for. And it's not so much about an ad campaign, because an ad campaign essentially is designed around those values that you believe in. So like if you were to imagine Nike's Just Do It, or like any of these like recent campaigns by a company like Nike, it's a lot about the political stance that the company takes, and of course like sometimes also benefits from them, or like gets punished for it. Like it could go either way. Um, but like in a company like ours, which is more B2B in nature, so we're either B2B or B2G. That which means that we're working with like mostly either large businesses or large or government bodies. In our case, marketing takes a very different like a form, shape and form, which is not your usual like Facebook, Twitter, Insta, because that's not where decision makers are. LinkedIn to some extent, but our approach towards marketing is more towards uh, knowledge creation, because what we're working in is emerging technology, which is still taking shape and form, and we're one of those people who are responsible for making sure for how this technology gets adapted in the country, and that's a huge opportunity. But it's also a responsibility for us, and I think like where we see as DronaMaps, like our mission or vision towards our marketing is to create enough knowledge and content that perpetuates itself and that gives enough people enough of a platform to build on top of, as time evolves and as more and more people join us over a period of time. Thank you so much.